Hello there, lovely people. It's Alex from Nintendo Live here. Now, you might be forgiven for thinking that the whole mouse control thing with the Nintendo Switch 2 is a brand new frontier, a new shiny idea that Nintendo maybe not thought up, but it's the first time they're using it. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's bubkus. The whole mouse mode thing isn't the first time Nintendo have tried mouse controls. In fact, it's not even the second, but to save myself a little bit of money, by which I mean hundreds if not thousands of pounds, I forewent the idea of the N64 mouse, and I picked up this for 15 quid from my local retro games shop. Retro Games HQ in Swindon. Check it out. Tell the owner Pete that Alex sent you. You may even get a... Oh, okay. This little sausage right here is the SNES mouse, or the Super Nintendo Entertainment System mouse. It was released in 1992 and only in this colorway, which was a little bit unusual. North American viewers may think, why? This whole purple and grey aesthetic is a distinctly American thing. Basically, everywhere else got this. Nice, colourful buttons. Didn't matter whether you're in the UK, Europe, or even Japan. We had all the primary colours and green here. And in terms of hardware, it's a mouse. There's very little to say about it. It's got a left click, it's got a right click. But look underneath. And you young people might be surprised. Modern mice pretty much all use an optical sensor, or a laser sensor, which is kind of an optical sensor with a funny laser. Sort of. But in 1992, we didn't know what optical meant or even laser. So instead, we were using this. Ooh! Yes, crack an old mouse open and you'll find an actual ball inside. And these were great. You muck around with them instead of doing IT work. I'm not going to bore you with major detail, but basically, this ball would freely roll around and roll on some rollers that would tell you whether you were going left or right or up or down, and by combining the two, anywhere in between on a two-dimensional plane. Maths. And to be honest, that's all there is for the hardware. The only other thing of note is the fact that obviously this ball is not as accurate as using an optical sensor, and so let's just say that this isn't a very sensitive sod. You're gonna have to be doing much bigger movements than you ever have to do with a modern mouse. Some software did allow you to change the sensitivity, but suffice it to say the resolution was pretty damn low. And when people think of the SNES mouse, they think of one piece of software in particular. Mario Paint. And I don't say that lightly. I asked a load of people, my colleagues, friends, and I asked them, what do you think of when you think of the SNES mouse? What games were supported? And they all went, Mario Paint? I mean, okay, fair enough, it was bundled with the thing, but there are so many other games that take advantage of this thing. We're not going to go through absolutely every single one of them, but we are going to go through some of them. And you might just be surprised in the interesting ways that they use this little thing. I'm going to be honest, it's mostly as a mouse input, but, you know, bear with me. I've got me old childhood SNES here, that's why it's yellow as it is a PAL unit, obviously, so there's going to be a few little sort of like quirks with the footage, just because it does some weird scaling and stretching to be PAL friendly. It's a long story, I'm not going to go into it here, but suffice it to say, the footage is going to be a little bit funny. Also, no HDMI out, so this is going into a RetroTink 5K specifically that has been very kindly lent to me by my friend Chris. Thank you, Chris. But anyway, that's more than enough waffling. Let's fire up this bad boy and see what it can do. Okay, it's the most obvious entry, but come on. I couldn't make a video about the SNES mouse without talking about Mario Paint. This is the OG. It was made for the mouse was made for it. I know so many people who have so many fond memories just mucking around in this thing. There's obviously the drawing side of things, but there's also a music maker, a fly swap minigame that I spent way too much time on when recording for this video. It's also absolutely bursting with charm. It's no secret that Super Mario Maker took a lot of inspiration from this, but you don't fully appreciate that until you go back and play this and you're like, oh my god, the sound effects, the little boo 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 boo, it's all here. Nintendo wanted a way to showcase their mouse. They flippin' did it. They did it with flying colors. One of the more interesting applications. This was back in the day before controls had finally been cemented, and people were trying all sorts of different things, and Wolfenstein 3D, it's no different. If you wanted to use the mouse, you had to use a controller at the same time. And it was generally expected that you would have the mouse in the right port, the second port, so you'd have this kind of dual control setup, which if you're thinking, wow, it's a bit like twin stick or modern keyboard and mouse, it's getting there, but it is absolutely not there. It's definitely an interesting application. So interesting, in fact, that they used it again in Super Noah's Ark 3D, which if you're not aware, is an unlicensed SNES game. But it supports the mouse. It was so innovative that they removed it in Doom. Yeah, Doom doesn't support the two-control method, it just supports using the mouse. And admittedly, you can just use the mouse on its own in this, but it would have been nice to see, like, the best of both worlds, maybe, like, don't have to move forward with the mouse in Doom, because that, I've got to be honest, that sucks something hard. If I'm not getting it across, you have to physically, like, roll the mouse forward to move forward. No, it's not a fun time. This one's an absolute classic for those in the UK. Cannon Fodder was just, I wouldn't say it took the country by storm, but everyone knew about it and it was released on pretty much every platform, including the SNES. And you can just use a controller for this, but it's rubbish. And the implementation here is it's just perfect. It's exactly what you would expect it to be. It's not super sensitive or anything like that, but you pick this up, you play with a mouse, you'd never even know that a controller was an option. It's a fun game to boot, even if some of the controls are a little bit counterintuitive. These are the days when you needed the manual. I couldn't go by without talking about the Super Game Boy. Technically not a game, but the amount of features that they threw in here, not just for the mouse you can use a controller, makes it feel like it could have been its own game. Maybe. When playing a Game Boy game, you could just fiddle around and draw around the screen, create your own border if you like, and you could even draw on the screen to make Pokemon harder. Hey, you can't see what your moves are. Have fun. This Grimer's not looking very happy. Let's fix that. You could also change the color palette, and you could do all this with the mouse while somebody else was controlling it with the standard controller. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it's an option. If you're wondering if this is a random SNES game I grew up with and that's why I've included it here, no, I'd never heard of it before, but I just happened to be testing a number of different games, and this is one of them where it just seemed to work weirdly well. Seriously, Lamborghini American Challenge? It opened my eyes a bit. I don't think this is the first game to use this style of control scheme, but basically, the mouse is your kind of your steering wheel. And it feels like it shouldn't work. It feels like it should be a bit weird and awkward, and don't get me wrong, it's not perfect, but it is light years ahead of using a D-pad for something like this. You feel like you've got genuine analog control, and it made this game an absolute joy to play. I ended up playing it far longer than I really needed to, just because I was having so much fun. It felt so weirdly smooth to be playing a SNES game like this. This game represents a lot of the games that the SNES mouse supports. Basically a PC game, but now you're playing it on a SNES, baby! Sid Meier's Civilization was obviously designed with a mouse in mind on the PC, but here, it's not really. It's designed with a controller in mind first, and then the mouse is kind of second to that. It's difficult to describe, and it does slightly suffer as a result. I mean, it still leagues better than using a standard controller, and it's definitely a quicker and more responsive way to play the game, but it definitely feels hampered by having that level of controller in mind. It's not a big deal by any means, and it's still really cool that it supports it, but this is a really weird example. It's like, designed with mouse, then they made it compatible with a controller, then they made a mouse mode that was kind of controller compatible as well. A real oddity. But not as much as the last one. And that last one is Jurassic Park. What the hell is going on here? The mouse needs to be in the second port, which is not unusual. I mean, it's not super common, but it's by no means unique. And you just generally control most of the game with a controller. And apart from the title screen, I didn't immediately realize what the hell the mouse is for, because I wasn't familiar with this game. It's only when you go into buildings and then suddenly you're in a weird sci-fi first-person mode that, yeah, okay, we're using the mouse in this way, and once again, You're moving the mouse forward to move forward. It's never been a good idea. I don't know who thought it was, but frankly, I'm angry. Well, not angry, I'm just disappointed. This also might be, of the games listed here, the least sensitive in regards to the mouse's movement. You have to really pan this thing across time and time again just to turn around, and considering you got dinosaurs coming towards you, it is not something you don't want to hang around. You just want to get rid of those dinos, and your field of view's terrible. This is not a great game, and it's not a great implementation of the SNES mouse. But hey, at least it was supported. And honestly, that's just scratching the surface. This thing was really widely supported, so much so that certain games that Nintendo released after this that didn't support it even had a little warning message come up saying, "Whoa there! You can't use a mouse in this game!" I only managed to find a few examples in my research that I was actually able to verify, specifically Kirby Superstar and Yoshi's Island. Kirby Superstar's very friendly. It's just like, "Whoa there, friend. You might want to consider using a controller. Thanks!" Yoshi's Island, on the other hand, honestly, this feels like an error. Is this an error? This is terrifying. So, okay, Alex, it was widely supported. We get it. But how widely supported? What's the grand total? Well, if you do your research online, you'll get a lot of conflicting information. A lot of conflicting information. The Wikipedia list, it says it's incomplete. Boy, howdy is it. So I did some digging. I did some serious digging. I went through all the various bits and pieces I could find on the internet, brought all the lists together, and I may have lied earlier when I said we weren't going to talk about all of them, because this is every single one that I found. Acme Animation Factory, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Eye of the Beholder, Alice No Paint Adventure, Arkanoid Do It Again, Asamishime Nyanko, Bishujo Sensei Sailor Moon S Kondo wa Puzzle de Oshiokyo, Brandish 2 Expert, Breakthrough, Cannon Fodder, Dai 3G Super Robot Tyson, Dai 4G Super Robot Tyson, Gokyusei 2, Doom, Dragon Knight 4, Dynamade, The Las Vegas, Farland Story 2, Fun and Games, Galaxy Robo, Habu Meijin no Omoshiro Shogi, Hayazashi Nidan Morita Shogi, Hyodan Mamono Tachi To no Chikai, Honkaku Mahjong Tetsuman 2, Honkaku Shogi Fuunji Ryo, Honkaku wa Igo Gosai, J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings Volume 1, Jurassic Park, Kakinoki Shogi, King Arthur's World, Kotetsu no Kishi, Kotetsu no Kishi 2, Sabaku no Rommel Gundam, Kotetsu no Kishi 3, Gekitotsu Europe Sensen, Lamborghini American Challenge, Lemmings 2 The Tribes, Lord Monarch, Majin Tensei, Mario no Super Picross or Mario Super Picross, Mario Paint, Mario to Wario or Mario and Wario, Mario's Early Years Fun with Letters, Mario's Early Years Fun with Numbers, Mario's Early Years Preschool Fun or Mario's Schoolhouse, Masters Hadoukenaru Augusta 2, Megalomania, Might and Magic 3 Isles of Terror, Motoku-chan no Wonder Kitchen, Nobunaga's Ambition, On the Ball or Camel Tree, Operation Thunderbolt, Oriyuri Pon, Pieces, Populous 2 Trials of the Olympian Gods, Powermonger Revolution X, Rin Kaihao Kudan no Igo Taidao, Sangokushi Seishi Tenbu Spirits, Sergeant Saunders Combat, Shanghai Banri no Choju, Shanghai 3, interestingly not Shanghai 2, Xien's Revenge, Shogi Saikyo 2, Jisen Taikyo Kuhen, Sid Meier's Civilization, Sim Ant, The Electronic Ant Colony, Snoopy Concert, Super Caesar's Palace, Super Castles, Super Game Boy, Super Noah's Ark 3D, an unlicensed game, Super Patchy Slot Mahjong, Super Robot Tyson X, Super Solitaire, T2 the arcade game, Tactical Soccer, Tin Star, Tokimeki Memorial Densetsu no Ki no Shitade, Troddlers, the unfortunately named Trump Island, Utopia, The Creation of a Nation, Vegas Stakes, Wolfenstein 3D, Wonder Project J, Kike no Shonen Pino, and finally Zico Soccer. Huh. That's a lot. Like a lot. And that's not even it. There are unreleased games that would use this as well. Kid Kirby is one of them, a kind of baby game about Kirby that was, well, thankfully never released. Sound Fantasy as well. I can't find any information about that. Admittedly, I didn't try very hard. I'd done enough research at this point. Warrior of Rome 3, another one. There's not loads of information out there. But there is one where I was actually able to find a work. I don't know, is this real? But it was just like there. Just like a beta of something. It's called Spellcraft Aspects of Valor, and it doesn't appear to be finished. like even a little bit, but it's there, and it supports the mouse, and that's just fascinating to me. So what if we add them all up? What's the final number, including the Super Game Boy, not including the Super Game Boy 2? It's the same thing. Altogether, the number of games supported by the SNES mouse is 86. 86. Write that down. This thing, this little thing that everyone just associates with a single game, was supported 86 times. 82 if you don't count the unreleased stuff, which is fair enough. The idea I had for this video started off very small, just a little whim looking back at this sort of thing, and it ended up taking me through and verifying 82 games that support this thing. That's kind of incredible. That's kind of fun. It should be remembered. And maybe, just maybe, the Switch 2 and its all mousy movement stuff will bring in a new era where we're looking at stuff like this as kind of like the grandfather, the precursor, the early days. So why not join me and remember the SNES mouse as more than just a Mario Paint device? Because it so deserves it. But what about you? Do you have any fond memories of this thing? Even if it's just Mario Paint, that's fine. Let us know with a comment down below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, then why don't you drag your mouse over to that subscribe button and click it the old-fashioned way. It's got a ball in it. And be sure to check out NintendoLife.com for all sorts of lovely Nintendo-related content. Thank you again for watching. Bye-bye. Thank you, Chris. This. Let's fire up this bad boy and see what it can do. It's not actually on, because it's not plugged in. Magic. Movie magic. Oh, incidentally, I'm aware that's actually a rat and not a mouse, but,